Alright, before we get started, I want to apologize for the video quality. I have been working insane hours lately. I know it's not an excuse, but it's also why this video is not to the best of my ability. When you work 12 hours a day, it can really take a lot out of you, as many of you probably know. I don't have the best Wi-Fi connection right now if I'm in Galena. So, in doing that, I'm in the middle of nowhere, so Wi-Fi is not really the best thing around here. Alright. In doing the project, I definitely learned I feel I'm not that complicated. I'm just an average person. I thought I was a little bit more complicated, maybe thought of myself having a little bit of a, not a rough life, but an interesting life. God, was I wrong? I did a lot more stuff when I was younger than as I've gotten older. I'm definitely more focused on work and my fiance and trying to get us off the ground in Galena, soon to be Dubuque. So not really done too much in my adult life besides work and school. All right, so for my physical subsystem, had a lot of health problems young, still have some health problems now. It kind of helped me, it kind of hurt me out. I have asthma and allergies, developed that at a young age. It definitely was not at the top of my physical game back then, and it definitely affected my sports in baseball and other sports growing up. And due to the restrictions, I believe that ended up developing ADHD, which I still have a little bit of today. Due to medication and puberty, I was able to grow out of most of the allergies. Not my asthma, though, however. And then I did earn a scholarship for cross-country and track when I was going away to college my freshman year. Ended up ruining that over a back injury, and I lost my scholarship, which goes to the emotional subsystem. Losing my scholarship was huge. I was a runner in high school. I was a pretty good runner for getting the scholarship. I definitely struggled coming back home. My parents definitely were very angry with me about that. I know it was nobody's fault, but I definitely blamed myself and my parents, and it affected my grades at my new college, and I screwed up for a while before I came back to the right path. Unfortunately, I did make some bad decisions in high school and in college. I ended up drinking a lot, having a poor diet after my injury, which did get me to be diagnosed with fatty liver disease due to the poor diet and genetics and from drinking. I made some lifestyle choices. I am starting to diet and work out and become healthier. Definitely cut back on the drinking. One beer every once in a while. Never hurt anybody. At least I hope. Emotional subsystems. This all together definitely really, from when I was younger, I couldn't really be that physical and I was very isolated. I felt very sheltered. My parents were very strict and I struggled a lot growing up. I always felt sick, even though I probably really wasn't that sick, just because my parents made me feel like I was probably more sick than I actually am. That's the same case was with my brother and my sister. Not saying that they made us feel more sick. We just were at the doctor a lot with asthma and allergies, and it kind of worried us growing up. So my physiological subsystem. Not very surprising with having ADHD. I'm more of an extrovert than an introvert. Being a big podcast listener and someone that really likes to look at every single source from no matter what side of the argument it's on, I'm more of a thinker than a feeler. And that really, none of this really surprised me in how I think. Definitely not as compassionate as I thought I was, I found out. Not as compassionate as I thought I was. Towards certain people, yes. Definitely towards certain people. Then I have the short report personal portrait, the spiritual subsystem. I'm not much of a zodiac person. I don't really think this affects me too much. It said a lot of interesting things about how astrological everything is, but I'm going to be honest. I know I'm a Pisces. And I'm supposed to be a compassionate, emotional person, not very emotional, to most people, can find myself pretty distant, and not very comforting, unless you're only my fiance, and that's about it. All right. So with the environmental, with my immediate family, my father and mother were very, very strict growing up in the past. Definitely hindered a lot of me making friends, was made fun of a lot when I was younger because of how strict my parents were. As I've grown older and become the person I've become, they're definitely more loving and supportive. And I have a brother and sister, both loving and supportive. My brother is very quiet. He was very dependent. Nowadays, he's not so much. He's really impressed me. And I have a loving sister who is a very big introvert, who's now in a sorority and definitely an extrovert. Friends, I had a small group of friends in grammar school. I had a huge group of friends in high school. And as I've gotten older, I have about 5 friends, one of them being my fiance. So I'm a very social person. Definitely because of the lack of friends and the support of my very close friends. As you can see, I'm no longer in Chicago. I'm in Galena, and I absolutely love it out here. I do have some distant relatives. I would say my Uncle John was like a brother to me. That's about it. My cousins, not very understanding people. They were very entitled growing up, but now we have a little bit closer bonds and that we understand that we came from different backgrounds. I have a very small family, pretty close-knit. All live in Chicago, Milwaukee. I'm officially the furthest on the Meyer side, the second furthest. Actually, the Barnes side's pretty spread out. I work my butt off in everything I do. I started working when I was 12 years old. One of the first jobs real job I had that wasn't a landscaping job was at a rec center. Then I worked in many warehouses. I then got into phone retail, which, if you think about doing phone retail, don't do it. It's a massive mistake. The bad management and hours are terrible. Now I'm a merchandiser in Dubuque for Panagold Bread Company. It's great money. Long early hours. As I said, I wake up at 2 a.m., work about 12 hours. I had to pass a driving test. I drive a delivery truck, and they'll do whatever. The company I work for is really good. They'll do whatever to help you out. But if it's 150 degrees or negative 30 degrees, you are working no matter what. Significant others. As I said, I am engaged, but in the past I've had a few exes. Definitely never really got along with any of them. Never really felt a connection. Dating-wise, wasn't much of a person to date. I was more friends with girls than anything else. Relationships, like I said, never really had many relationships. Never talked about feelings or got too deep. I was pretty close to the chest. Ex-girlfriends, I have no contact with them now. No hard feelings, and I took everything as a learning experience. And obviously, I'm not currently dating because I am engaged with my amazing fiance, who I've been with for over 2 years. We'll be getting married in 2020. Definitely able to communicate a lot better and have a lot stronger emotions. A lot of the other stuff is just a lot of stuff I did in the past, and I haven't really continued with in the future. I am still a religious person, even though I have my own questions. That's a ladybug on Community. I definitely still in school. I use a lot of information services when I look up stuff. And I think that's it. All right, guys, have a good one. And I'm sorry you had to watch this.